Today we're going to be interviewing with a longtime resident of Antioch Township, Doris Sherburne, and I will be doing the interviewing. My name is Ron Ford, and she happens to be my aunt. So from here on, we'll be calling her Aunt Doris, and we'll know that this refers to a very special person in Antioch, and as far as my own life here. So here we go. Aunt Doris, where were you born?
I was born in southern Michigan in a little town called Devereux. My dad had a Methodist church in that area, and my grandma lived with us, and she was a widow, and she married there, and that's where I was born.
Okay. What was your given name then at birth?
Doris Elaine Ford.
Oh, okay. Were you named after any relative or family friend?
I don't think so.
Okay. Did your parents or siblings like to tell you funny or embarrassing baby stories about you?
No, I don't remember anything.
What is your mother's name?
Mary.
And where and when was she born?
She was born Mary Jane Jaquish over by Interlaken in about 19, I don't know.
It's okay.
Yeah.
When did she die?
She died when you, I don't know, when Dawn and you and Dawn were little. How long ago was that? That can't be.
That's too many years ago. We'll just let it go at that.
Dawn was only like 18 months old when she died.
Okay.
Same as you.
Yeah, so it'd be actually about 65 years ago, a little less than that. Okay. What is your most vivid image of your mother? Or maybe a vivid image.
Well, my mother was not a sewer or a knitter like my grandma, but she was a great baker, and she liked to go out and do the chickens and those things in the yard.
Okay. What is your father's name?
Ernest Earl Ford.
Okay.
Everybody called him E.E. Ford.
E.E. Ford.
Yeah.
Okay. What is one of your most vivid memories of your father?
Well, you know, he was a minister for years when he was young. He had a very good speaking voice and a good singing voice.
Well, so you say he was a minister?
A Methodist minister. Till they came up here. Well,
It's okay.
they came up here because the family inherited this farm. You know that about that?
No, people on here don't know about that. That's why we're doing this.
Well, Great-Grandpa Peter was in the Civil War, and the government didn't have money to give to those who were injured, but they gave them a piece of property. And that's why we got this property here. So they moved up here, and relatives have lived here ever since.
Do you happen to remember when it was that they might have moved up here? What year?
Well, they came right after I was born in 1924. They probably came in 25 or 26.
Okay.
And we lived in a little house right down the street there from you where that lilac bush is.
Mm-hmm.
Moved there until Dad could get the farm. So then we've lived there ever since.
Okay, that was on, what we say, 15 and a half road, just off from what is now 16 road. Mm-hmm. Where did your parents meet?
Well, Dad had that church there at Bendon by Interlaken.
Mm-hmm.
That's where they met, I'm sure.
Okay. What were your brothers or sisters' names?
Well, my oldest brother was Ronald V. Ford, and my brother Clarence R. Ford, and I didn't have a sister.
Okay. What is the most enjoyable memory of the time spent with your parents and your family? Now, this is speaking before you had your children.
Well, one thing we did that a lot of people didn't do, we were readers. We put the kerosene lamp in the middle of a round table, and after supper, Mom read aloud Uncle Tom's Cabin, and when she got tired, Dad read, and when he got tired, Grandma read. Those were good times.
So that was your kind of like your evenings were spent around the table? You didn't use electricity at that time?
There was no electricity.
There was no electricity.
Hardly any kerosene in the lamp.
Okay. What was one of the most valuable lessons your parents taught you?
I don't know. They were always Bible students.
Okay.
A lot of good verses that I can tell you, but I don't remember one in particular. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you.
Okay. Now with your grandparents, we're kind of going back a generation before your
On
parents.
which side?
On your mother's side, what were their names?
Their name was Jaquish,
Jaquish.
French, Juquish. And Grandpa's name, well, the son was Ivan, and then there were children, Marilyn and Carl. And we went back and forth a lot with them. They lived over there by Interlaken.
Okay. What did they do for a living?
Oh, they were farmers.
As were most of the
That
people
was
back
all
in
what
those
there was
days.
back then.
Okay. Do you have any personal memories of them?
Oh, we love to go there. I love to go there on Sunday when she cooked Sunday dinner.
Was there anything special she cooked on Sunday
She
dinner?
had a cake. She made it every time. A white cake with brown sugar frosting. It was always good.
It was always good. Did you ever make ice cream?
No, but they had an old-fashioned refrigerator with ice in it that we didn't have.
Oh,
The milk was always cold.
milk was always cold. Okay. Your father's parents. Same way, that'd be the grandparents on your dad's side.
Well, we talked about that on the way over here today. Dad's dad was Davis Ford. And he died young. He died over in Boone. They had a farm, and he was out in the fall gathering the corn, and he got wet and cold, and he died of pneumonia. And then, I don't know, what else did you ask?
No, that's just
That's
about anything about your dad's parents. You said that Davis passed away at an early
Yeah,
age.
Davis was, we looked up at that yesterday. He was killed in the woods and did not have a family, was not married evidently.
Okay. Then did his mother
That was,
ever remarry?
yeah, that was Grandma. She married a man in Tuxford that we met in Demerol.
Okay.
He had a general store and a beautiful home and beautiful furniture, which we inherited.
Which was very good on that end. From what part of the world did your family immigrate? If they did, I'm not sure. Where did they originally come from? Do you have any?
Well, I know the
Genealogy
Jaquishes came
wise.
from France.
Came from
They have
France.
a genealogy
Okay.
of the family and how they landed out east and came here.
Now would that be the Jaquish side?
Yes.
Okay.
And I don't know where the Fords,
They just came in from someplace. Come in on some
they
ship.
were always here.
We're always here.
It's an English name.
Okay. Oh, okay. Childhood. Your family house. What type of house did you live in as a child?
The one I lived in until I was married.
What?
It was made for a two-family house.
Okay.
And when we moved in, one half was finished and the other half was finished. And it never was finished until Antioch had a pastor and they needed that extra room.
Okay, so your family home became a parsonage?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
And that was for which church now?
Antioch Bible Church.
Okay, and that was actually the house, the parsonage then was just located down the street or the road from the church itself. In what room did you eat? Was it the kitchen, the dining room? I guess we're trying to get an idea of what type of the
Well,
setting of the house.
There was lots of room in that house, and we had the big old-fashioned round oak table with the special feet on it.
Oh.
And everybody came and ate with us, because Dad liked that. And now the house is, the table was there in the house. Yeah,
Yep.
we left it there. And the buffet, beautiful buffet Grandma bought from the store with all kinds of glasses and dishes and silverware. No money, but
Well, there's a lot of them were in the same boat back
Yeah.
then, weren't they? How was your house heated?
well, when I was a child, like everybody else, we had an old round oak stove and cut wood. It was warm at night and cold in the morning.
It was either hot or freezing cold, one or the other. What kind of stove did you have in the kitchen? What did they cook on?
Well, we had a wood kitchen stove, and it was one that Grandma brought from down there, and it had an extra row of griddles in it, and it had a bigger reservoir, so we had a nice kitchen wood stove.
Oh. The next question is probably somewhat doesn't make a lot of sense, but did you always have electricity? And you always mentioned the fact that no, you
No.
didn't have.
No,
You had
I
to
don't
use
know what
kerosene
it
lamps.
kerosene.
Did you get electricity before you were married or after you were married that you ended up getting
I
electricity?
think it
in the house?
went in about that time,
About that?
because I know Dalton wired the house, our house, before we were married, before the electricity came in, so,
They knew it was coming.
yeah.
Okay. Did you buy or did you make your own clothes?
Oh, we bought some, but Grandma was a sewer, and back in those days, people gave you hand-me-downs, and she made them over for me. And a lot of girls had the same thing.
Is that where you learned to sew or make things with knitting, embroidering, crocheting?
Well, we didn't learn at school to sew, but she could always knit and crochet. My mother didn't do those things.
They didn't do those things. Well, I happen to have an inside messenger that says that you make quilts.
Oh.
Where did you learn to make quilts?
Well, I guess I just started because I had a baby, and I started.
You started.
And I made for all the kids and all the baby kids and the teenagers and the wedding quilts and all the showers. So
I think also for the nephews and nieces and anybody else in the community that needed one.
yeah,
Because we got several I know at our place, or were until they went with the kids when they flew the coop. Did you have any family pets back when you were growing up?
I was telling White about Lion. We had farm, and every farm has to have a dog, and we didn't have one. And Dad came home one afternoon with a collie puppy, and our kitchen floor was bare, just wood. I remember we sat down and put our feet out, and the dog ran back and forth. We called him Lion, and he was a wonderful dog.
Okay, so
He
it's a
always liked
collie.
to go to the pasture. I tell you that when they took the cows, and he'd get looking among where the squirrels and the rabbits and things were, but he liked to be first back to the house. And if they got back to the house before he did, he'd get up like that and growl and bark. He knew he was late.
Not like a spoiled little kid, huh?
No.
I want to be first. Okay. Well, you kind of mentioned on this before. It says, how did your family spend its evenings? And you kind of talked about that you did sit around the table and you did a lot of reading. And that tradition, not necessarily sitting around the table, but reading has been carried over into your family.
Just ask Wade who the readers are.
They're all readers, all readers.
Your whole family is reading. Speaking of family, where did you meet your husband? Doris.
Dalton.
Dalton.
Well, he was sort of always around underfoot, the neighbor, you know, but I never thought much about him until one time Ronald was home on leave and he came to visit him, and Ronald,
Let's see. What was one of the funniest things that ever happened to you?
I don't know, I guess my life wasn't very funny, I can't remember.
Was there anything embarrassing happened that you'd want to talk about? Which sometimes the embarrassment is also a funny type of thing, where you.
No,
Okay.
I did a lot of different things, like,
Is there anything else you'd like to tell us about that we haven't asked you or we haven't covered?
I think you've covered it all pretty well.
Okay.
All you can listen to television from me.
Okay, well, we thank you very much, and we'll hopefully this all turned out for us here. We'll find out when we